I've now lived in Asunción, Paraguay for over 18 months in total. I first arrived back in August of 2024. And in 2025, I did an entire cost of living video of my lifestyle cost here in Asunción back then. But now in 2026, you might have heard that things have gotten a little bit more expensive. And although that is true, you also might be surprised by what I actually spend here now in 2026. So in this video, I'm going to give you a full cost of living breakdown updated for this year in 2026. And you're going to know exactly what I spend here. Now, whether you're on a budget or if you're someone who wants to live comfortably, or if you're someone who wants to live very, very well, I'll also go over the 3 levels that you can expect to live here in Asunción. And more importantly, whether or not it's still worth it. By the way, if you're new here, my name's Alex. I left the US in 2022, and now I live full-time here in South America. I did that through building location-independent income online. And if you want to learn how to start earning income through posting content, I have a free school community, links in the description. Now let's get into the video. Let's dive right in. So living in Paraguay, my real monthly cost here for 2026. Now, before I get into it, there are 3 variables that determine pretty much most of it, right? Number 1 is going to be your rent. And as far as your rent goes, that's going to depend on where you decide to live. So which zone you're in, right? If you're in Las Lomas or if you're in Villamora or even Recoleta nowadays, your rent is going to be a lot more. And the places that you eat out and surround yourself around, like coffee shops or restaurants or bars even, those are going to be a little more expensive too compared to other zones. So the big factor is how much you actually want to pay in rent. Number 2 is how often do you eat out? I've learned that really this has been my big thing as far as like me eating out every single day, using apps like Pedidos Ya, that can add up very quickly. And especially if you're doing that more than once a day, now it's going to make a big impact on your actual budget. And then the third one is going out. How often are you going out? This includes, socials, hobbies, nightlife, dates. How often are you going on dates? Those 3 variables are going to determine whether you're spending as low as $1,500 a month on the lower end, or if you're spending on the higher end, could be even $3,500 a month or even more. Everything else is going to be mostly fixed and affordable, so just keep that stuff in mind as I walk you through the numbers. Another caveat that I want to mention, or a quick disclaimer, is that my numbers don't include any travel and any excursions. Anytime I go on like a weekend trip, or if I travel within the country, it doesn't include any costs for visas or residencies or renewals or anything like that. Doesn't include gifts, any business expenses. It's not going to include that. All right. This is just how my life runs month to month. So let's start with the biggest expense. Number 1 being rent. So rent here, I actually think I have a pretty good deal when it comes to the rent. Most of my friends pay about $1,000 a month, give or take, right? Ballpark, to live in a similar zone that I'm in. If we just pull up a map of Asunción, like the main zones are, everyone wants to be near Shopping the Sol, Paseo Galleria, like this area here, Yucasati, even San Cristobal, Recoleta, Villamora, and Las Lomas, right? So this is basically it right here. This is like the bubble, we can call it. Even Mbaracuya could be considered part of that, but everything else is outside that for the most part. All right, so that's where everyone wants to be. That's where the best apartments are. That's where the most walkable locations are. So I live within that bubble, and I'm paying $680 for rent. Now, this includes everything. This includes all utilities. It includes internet, everything. I don't pay anything else but the $680. And I'll play a little B-roll of my apartment here. We're literally in my apartment. We're in my living room right now. So just to break it down, we have a pretty decent sized living room. We have a really good sized private terrace. You can't see the whole thing, but this is really the selling point of this apartment. It has a beautiful view of the downtown area. I literally work out on that terrace. I do my calisthenics there. I drink coffee there. I have people over. We mostly chill there, right? So the terrace is a huge selling point. To my right, I have the kitchen area, which comes fully equipped with a microwave, a stove, a refrigerator. And then on the other side of this wall, I have a bedroom, right, which is a decent sized bedroom, not gigantic or anything, but decent closet space, decent sized bedroom. And then I have a normal bathroom, basically. So it's nothing crazy. It's like it's a 1 bedroom. Some people might call it an oversized like 2-room studio even, but it works great for me. And again, location wise, I'm literally close to everything. Within 10 minutes walking, I have everything that I need. So for $680 a month, I'm actually happy with that price for what I'm getting. So for groceries, I spend about $225 a month. This includes protein, which is my biggest expense because protein here is a little more expensive, and everything else that I need to cook. And recently I have been cooking a little more because I do want to limit the amount that I'm eating out, which has made a bigger difference in terms of spending less and actually eating healthier. Some of the things that I cook is pretty basic. It's like ground beef, eggs, a lot of eggs, a lot of ground beef, or some steak too, a lot of spinach, and then some type of carb, whether it's a tortilla or it's maybe bread. And I also don't check prices when I go to the grocery store. All right, so when I go to Super Seis, by the way. Super Seis is not the most expensive grocery supermarket here. Depending on what zone you're in, you might have Casa Rica, Deli Market. Those are more expensive. Super Seis is a little more affordable, but I'm also not looking at prices here. So you can definitely find a way to save more in this area. And then eating out is really where it came down for me, at least. I was eating out pretty much every day, sometimes 1 or 2 times a day, using Pedidos Ya a lot, because Pedidos Ya, here's the thing, when you eat out here in Asunción, you never know how long it's going to take. You don't know how long it's going to take for them to make your food. You don't know how long it's going to take for them to come with the bill. So you're factoring at least 2 hours right there, which incentivized me to want to get Pedidos Ya. It's basically like the Uber Eats out here. They literally come straight to my door. I pick it up, but that can get expensive. So I'm actually spending a lot less money than I did before. I calculated around $350 per month for eating out and ordering in, which again, I mentioned I had cut back on this, but still I'm spending about $350. So between the two, it's around $575 per month, which I can definitely save more money, guys. Again, I don't really look at prices when I go to a grocery store. If I'm going to order something, it's going to be something that I like, which is not always the cheapest thing. Each meal now on Pedidos Ya, you can expect to pay at least $10, maybe $15, but that's what I've been spending on average over these past few months. Next category is going out and transportation. All right, so this has to do with anything social life, anything hobbies related, anything dating related. And I've also cut back on this area too, guys. All right, so my going out might be once or twice a week max, and my dating life has definitely cut back as well. 2024 and 2025, I was dating a little more seriously because I was new to the city, and I was going to dinners like every week, going to the nicest restaurant. I wanted to get to know these places. I wanted to go to some of the nicer restaurants, and then when you include going out to dinners with friends, it's very popular here to go to some steakhouse with your buddies on a random Tuesday. So this is actually low for me normally. And then Ubers, I spend about $120 a month. That one's on the higher end. I don't need to spend Ubers, guys, to be honest with you. Maybe 20, 30, maybe 20, $40 just for me. Then going out social, it's just going to depend on how often you go to dinners and how often you like to go out and how many dates you go on. So for me, $320 a month between these two is actually pretty good. And then fixed essentials. So when it comes to health insurance, I use a international plan. Basically covers me anywhere in South America, where if I had an emergency, it'll cover, I think, up to $500,000 of hospital, whatever, God forbid anything were to happen, I'm covered up to $500,000, which is plenty out here in South America. And then whenever I go to the doctors, guys, I just pay out of pocket. Usually what I do is I had been to the emergency room a couple of times. A spider bit me and it created an infection, which got serious and got painful. And I had to get it removed in the emergency room. And that whole experience cost me, I think, I don't know, maybe under $100. And then whenever I go to the doctors, I want to get blood checked. Maybe I'm not feeling well, which has happened. I pay $20 for a consultation. They recommend me certain medication. I go to the pharmacy. I buy it there over the counter, and I just pay everything out of pocket, right? Everything's pretty affordable here, pretty efficient here. So I still don't see the need to have private or local health insurance for me being a single guy who's relatively healthy. So that's what I spend for now. When it comes to the phone, I was using a service called US Mobile for the longest time. I'm no longer going to be using them because it's always a hassle to get the international roaming plan. So I still keep that active, but I'm going to change out of US Mobile. When I go back to the States, I'm going to use a different service provider. And then Claro is the local provider here that I just pay $15 a month for. Then cleaning and laundry. So cleaning I get done every single week. Laundry I do every week as well. I have a cleaning lady. She comes by every Saturday. So I think she's about $15 to do this apartment. And then laundry, I'm lucky. I have laundry right on the same. So I'm on a top floor here. And I'm the only apartment in the building that's on the top floor. And then there's laundry on this top floor that's accessible to the entire building. Really, I do my own laundry for like socks, underwear, towels, stuff like that. But when it comes to like shirts or jeans or nicer clothes that I spend money on, I bring that to a certain lady. She does it for me. And altogether, it comes to about $100 per week for clothing and laundry. Now, when it comes to liquor, I don't really drink much, to be honest with you. I drank more before. I was more of a whiskey and scotch guy. It's been a little while since I've drank whiskey or scotch. Now, I don't really drink by myself like ever, but if I have someone over, like a girl, for instance, I'll usually have a bottle of wine, like a white sweet wine. Santa Julia is very popular here, very affordable. And then gin. I do like to make some cocktails sometimes. So I'll make like a gin tonic. So I usually have some type of liquor that I can prepare. I spend about $50 a month for that. And then miscellaneous, when it comes to household items, random stuff, it's about $200 a month, give or take. So total monthly spend here in 2026 is just under $2,000. It's $1,981. Or if we just round it up, we'll just call it $2,000 a month is what I spend. Now, if you want to know what to expect as far as where you want to fall into the scale, there's 3 different levels, I believe, when it comes to what you can spend here. All right, if you're someone who wants to budget and you want to spend as little as possible while still maintaining, then I think the number for you is 1,500. All right, 1,500 gives you a lean, focused lifestyle. You're not going out all the time. You're not eating out all the time. You're not dating all the time. You're still living in your own apartment, decent apartment. And then for someone like myself, you're living a good life. Between 2,000, 2,500, you're even better, of course. This is going to be you living comfortably, eating out consistently, going out consistently. You're not splurging, but you're also living very well for that amount. And then if you're spending 3,000 or 3,500, then that's you basically living without even thinking about it. I'm going to stop saying like living like a king, because living like a king means different things to different people. But here in Asunción, if you're spending 3,000 or 3,500, you're basically balling out at that point. So is Paraguay still worth it in terms of value and what you're getting here now that it's increased in cost over the past, 1 or 2 years? I would say yes, of course, it's still worth it, okay? It's gotten a little bit more expensive. For instance, I used to divide everything by 7. And now I just divide everything by 6. So it has gotten maybe somewhere between 15 to 20% more expensive, which you can feel a little bit. It's not like a huge jump, but you can still feel it a little bit. But it's still a fraction of what you'd be paying anywhere in the States, Mexico, Guatemala. It's still very good value here that you're getting for even South America standards. So that's it for this video, guys. If you've made it this far and you're interested in earning income through your own personal brand and posting content online, I have a free community, links in the description. And if you're interested in getting Paraguay residency, I have resources down there as well. Or if you just want to watch another similar video to this one, then check out the one I did on my favorite things about living in Asunción, Paraguay. You can find it right here, and I'll see you there.